Um, okay. This is my first Jap in a while. But, um, I really need to talk. This one's gonna be tough for me. Um, okay. It's pathetic. No. Um, uh, I'm going to be talking about my father. I don't know why I'm doing this to myself, why I want to talk about it, but I do. And I don't know if it's just because I need to get off my chest, or if I just need to speak, and I don't care who sees this. Um, I don't know, but I'm going to be talking about my father. Um, so let's start. Fuck, how old is he? 40 years ago, I think. I don't know. Um, he lived on a farm, or not on a farm, but he lived in a small town, and he grew up farming, and he had an older and a younger brother. Okay, my uncles. Now, my dad was very clearly never a favorite by his dad, right? Um, I've always been told about how uh, my both my uncles for their graduation went to Australia, and my dad got a barbecue, not a physical barbecue. My grandparents bought a bunch of meat, had people over, had a barbecue. He'd always tell me about that. He'd also always tell me about how the times when he stabbed a fork through one of my uncle's cheeks. How he chased them around with a pitchfork before. How there was one time where, for some reason, the curtain hangers was down and it was kind of sharp, and my dad was chasing my uncle, and it got heavy, and he dropped and he went to the stairs and kind of stabbed himself a little bit, right? And I don't know, but I don't know why I'm saying that. It matters, but maybe it does. I don't know. Go forward. I'm born. Right? I was a bastard. So, my parents weren't married. And, my mom and my dad got married on April 12th, 2012. I was 1 year old and 5 months, right? Um, shit. So yeah, I was alive for my parents' wedding, and I still have faint memories of it. I don't obviously I don't remember the reception. I I remember being there, and I remember walking around and running away from my parents when they were dancing. I don't know. And then a year and a couple months later, my brother's born. Now, I've always hated my brother. You go and you look at pictures of me and my brother, and I always have this frustrated, angry face on. Right? Holy shit. I couldn't tell you why, but I did. I'd always have this angry, mad face, and I don't know why. That stuck. And I never told those stories about my dad until I was older. But my dad and my mom in 2015 on October 31st, I was told that they were getting a divorce. And I go look back on it, and for some reason I blame my brother. I don't know why, but I do. And I don't think it's my brother's fault, but I blame him in my heart. And I don't know why, because my mom cheated and my dad got a DUI, and that's not what you want to hear, you know? You never want to grow older and realize, oh, my dad's a drunk who got a DUI and my mom's a cheater. You don't want to think about that when you're older. You don't want to ever hear that from anybody. But I did. And at first, my dad was fine. And then it all went downhill. First grade was fine. Second grade, we moved into a condo. Me, my dad, my brother. And I would go to my parents 50-50. So every week I'd go back and forth. Now, once my dad got this condo, he changed. He was always angry. And he was abusive. Now he wouldn't hit. No. It was verbally and mentally. Obviously everybody's gone and they've cried because while doing homework with their father sitting there saying whatever they're saying. And I remember in first grade even, I'd come home and I'd have spelling words, and in order to learn the spelling words, my dad would sit me at the table and make sure I could spell them the first night I got them. He would, and every day I'd go through and get them all right. 100%. I had to. And every time I got it wrong, I'd have to restart from the first word, go all the way through. Which obviously, that makes me sound so like a bitchy. But you could tell he was angry all the time. And there's times, the most notable time from when I was younger is my grandmother was in town, my dad's mom, and I was talking with her in the TV area of the condo, and it's all like one big room, but it was kind of sectioned off. And I'm standing there, and my brother, who's 4 at the time, is doing dishes. I don't know why my dad was making my brother do dishes and put dishes away and climb on the counters to put plates away. But my brother went and he put the plate and he closed the thing, and then when he went to open it again, the plate fell out and it broke. And my dad yelled at my brother and he said, get to your room. And when my brother went, he looked over at me, who was talking to my grandma, and he sent me into the room too. Again, like, I don't know, it sounds so much less than it is, but that affected me. You know, I could tell that was when I started realizing my brother was favorited. Now, of course, he got sent to the room too, but if I were to break the plate, it would just be me. And in second grade, it was Father's Day. We were making something for Father's Day. And I don't know why I remember this, but I do. And I forgot about it for so long, but I remember it because we were given this paper. I don't remember anything about it. It was something, and you had to write what you like about your dad. And in second grade, when I'm fucking 7 or 8 years old, I wrote, "I hate my dad." And I don't know why I wrote it, but I did. And the teacher sent a letter to my dad and sent the thing with me, and I got in trouble for it. I got yelled at and whatnot, and I had to also redo the thing. And if I'm not wrong, what I put for my thing is that I like my dad. One thing I like about my dad is that he makes pancakes. And I don't know what to say right now. I'm sorry. But it's tough to think about, you know? Like, go and look back, and I think all the time about what it was like, and my stepmom was nice at first too, and then she had my youngest brother, and from then on, there I went back to not being the favorite. I was liked by my stepmom. I was really little, and she had my little brother, and that's gone. Right. Third grade was bad. COVID hit. I'd go and spend weeks on end at my dad's. And anytime my dad wanted to get mad at me, he would take away my electronics. And that was tough during COVID, right? That's going to be so big in the future. COVID was bad. Like, I don't know, spending 2 weeks at a time with him rather than one, because he lived 4 hours away from where my mom did at the time. It was not great, especially with my little brother being there and all that. Fourth grade, since fourth grade, I've been suicidal. And I strongly believe it all roots back to my dad. Because I don't know, a lot of stuff. Fourth grade through 8th grade, I was addicted to porn. I also blame my dad for that. But in 4th grade, I remember I was sitting in class and I just wrote a letter. I was just writing to write. But I was writing all these things like, don't save me, I'm going to die, I'm going to kill myself. And I didn't realize that was wrong. I did it, and I spoke what I was feeling. But I'd never seen anything about suicide or anything before. I just knew I wanted to die. The pornography thing, I think a lot of that's rooted in my dad and the movies we watched. I mean, we didn't watch like pornos or anything, but I go and I look back, and I remember we came to visit here where I live right now, and I was sleeping on the couch in the basement where we were staying, and they were watching Ali G in the house, and I was in 4th grade. If you don't know what that is, it's about this like UK gangster. It's like a gangster comedy, but it's deeply rooted in this guy, this gangster, and all he cares about is sex and being rank as hell. And we're watching that, and I was like, I pretended to sleep, but I was watching it, and I thought, oh, this is how you have sex. I also watched The Notebook with my dad. Or not The Notebook, sorry. Knocked Up. My dad decided, hey, yeah, let's watch Knocked Up. Let's watch The Do-Over. Let's watch all these movies. And if you haven't seen Knocked Up, there's a literal scene where she's giving birth and you see her vagina. Which is fucked to show a 4th grader. Not only 4th grader, my younger brother is watching, and he was in 2nd grade. 2nd grade, and he was watching that. And I remember one night, because me and my brother shared a room, I would normally stay up late and wait until my brother went to sleep and then go play on my tablet and watch porn. And like, I remember one night I just couldn't wait, and I told my brother, come watch. And luckily my brother didn't stick with my brother. Like, it stuck with me, and I'm so grateful for that. 5th grade, I met this one friend, and his father was also not the best. And so meeting somebody who I could kind of relate to was good, and I felt happy. Or I guess I met that guy in 4th grade, but I never really learned about his dad and stuff until 5th grade. 6th grade came around, and there was a time where I really trusted this teacher, and she was amazing, right? Top 3 teacher I've ever had, right? But I remember she had this little thing, and you'd write a letter, and you could sign your name, and she'd come talk to you in private. And I wrote about how my stepmom bit my youngest brother. My dad watched, and I had to go speak to the school counselor. That wasn't fun. I got called out of class, and I went for like an hour, and I talked to him, and I told him my stepmom bit my little brother, and she threatened to backhand him once, and I knew it happened because I texted my friend, and I was like, yo, she just threatened to backhand him. And I stepped outside, and I told him, and he's like, I'm gonna have to call CPS, which is Child Protective Services. And I said, okay. I then went home, and that night I got in trouble because I told somebody about what was happening at my dad's house. I got in trouble by them. They took they took all my stuff. 7th grade wasn't better. Still always yelled at, always got my stuff taken away. But 7th grade, I found something that could kind of help me. And that was movies. And I guess I never really realized like how much movies kind of like help me. No, I don't know. It's hard to explain. I then 7th grade was bad. I had some friends and I got in trouble because one day I went to lunch at one friend's house without telling anybody. And it was why can't I think? 7th grade, my dad said I dressed like a hobo because all the clothes I had at his house had holes in them. And 7th grade is when my dad told me that my brother, not my youngest, but my other brother, told me he's my favorite. And that kind of, hearing that from anybody, just saying, yeah, this person, yeah, rather than you, this person's my favorite. You don't want to hear that from anybody. And then hearing it from your own father, because he's telling you, yeah, your brother's my favorite because I wasn't the favorite child when I was younger. It's not, nobody wants to hear that. Right. 8th grade. My brother came into my room screaming, "Oh, you're a mistake, you're a mistake, you're a mistake." And my dad stood out in the hallway laughing. I think it was hilarious. And I became violent. I would hit my brothers, punch them. Nothing like I'd always punch and hit my younger brother, but I started kind of being mean to my youngest brother, and I would punch things and hit things, mainly like walls and doors and my bed and myself, and I started thinking about killing myself again. And ever since then, I still do. And in the last 3 weeks of living at my dad's, I was going to a party and I was like, hey, I'm just going to bike up there and I'm going to spend the day there. And I biked up to this party that my friend was having. And he got mad at me because I went to go hang out with somebody, and her boyfriend had just broken up with her, and I was trying to be there for her, and my dad got mad at me because I went and he didn't see me at all during the day. He didn't see me until 11:30 at night. He's pissed at that. That's on June 27th. June 29th. June 28th. I watched Shawshank Redemption. 3 days late, the same day before I watched Shawshank, I went on a bike ride to go try and meet somebody. And she's like, no, and whatever. Who cares? I went home, watched the Shawshank. 2 days later, I was planning on going to a movie with a girl on Canada Day, July 1st. And for a little context, those 3 days before, I barely got dressed because it was summer break, and I stayed, and I had like 3 days worth of clothes, and my dad was like, wash your sheets, wash your laundry, and I washed my sheets, whatever, but I'm not washing 3 days of laundry. And I went, and the day of, at 10 in the morning, bust into my room, give me your phone, give me your PlayStation control, give me your VR headset. You're not going to that movie tonight either. And so I texted the girl. I was like, yo, I can't go to the movie tonight. She's like, oh, okay. And I got my stuff taken away. And after the movie, I was planning at like 3 o'clock in the morning running away because my mom was in Vegas. I was going to run to my mom's house and hide out there. Him taking away my phone saying you can't go to that movie anymore changed everything. I decided to run away at 2:05. At 2:05, I had everything ready, and I went up and I asked, hey, can I do my snap streaks? I took my phone, my PlayStation controller, and I biked and I ran away. I wrote a letter for my dad, and in the letter I said, I fucking hate you. I've hated you since I was 6. I've hated you for the past 6 years. And it felt good to get that off of my chest and not say it, but let him know. But he didn't realize I was gone for 3 hours. I was gone out of his house for 3 hours and he didn't notice I was gone. And realizing that, I realized for good I'm never going back there. I hate my father. And he still texts me every week. And I've blocked his number, and my mom told him that I blocked his number. And I unblocked it recently, thinking, oh, he hasn't texted me. He's not going to text me anymore. And I got this text the other day. And my dad and my brother are the only people I hate. And my mom isn't better than my dad. And my mom's better than my dad, sorry, but it's not what I want to be living in. I, for some reason, feel good. And this is the first time I've ever felt good about making somebody upset. I don't know why, but I do. I feel good about myself because I make my dad cry every night, hopefully. I tell myself, I hope that he's crying his eyes out, going to sleep, crying his eyes out, calling my grandma. And a couple months ago, I was at a basketball tournament, and I've been very much avoiding my family, my dad's side. And my little brother's there, and he walked through, and for the first time in 5 months, I waved to him. Anytime I saw him, I walked away. I remember I was out with friends, and they were going to McDonald's, and I saw my dad's truck, and I was like, what the fuck? And I went and I saw in the window, I saw my little brother, and I ran away. I ran to the building till they left, and I went in. After they left, and I waved to my brother at this basketball tournament that I was at. And then first thing my stepmom decides to do, go post it on her Snapchat story and say, oh, look at him. It's so happy because his brother, after thinking for so many months that his brother doesn't love him. And I'm going to be honest, I don't. But I don't know why you have to go and post that on your story. I don't know. I haven't spoken to my father in months. I actually had an appointment, and in this appointment they were asking about fainting and stuff like that. And all these questions about me, and I realized how much my parents don't know me. Especially my dad, and how my dad doesn't think he's bad. Because there's a time when I was going to Edmonton with my dad and my stepmom and all them, and I fainted. I got out of the car and to go get Taco Bell, and I stepped out, and I fainted. I fell on the sidewalk. And instead of checking on me and making sure I was okay, my dad yelled at me for laying on the ground. And when I was asked if I'd ever fainted, I said, yes, I have. And I said, yeah, I fainted, and we were at a Taco Bell. And my dad said, oh, like, when was that? And I was like, when we were going to Edmonton, he's like, I don't remember this. And I said, well, it happened because you yelled at me. I said all this, and he's like, that did not happen. And he was arguing with me about it. I thought this would be more difficult. And maybe it's because I don't know who's going to watch this. And maybe there's the hope that nobody watches this. But somebody's going to watch it. And I don't know. I thought this would be more difficult. But I don't know. I hate my father. He is a horrible person. And if you're dealing with abusive people and people that are hateful, and that you realize, like, you shouldn't be in my life, leave. Get out of there. Boyfriend, friend, parent, sibling, aunt, uncle, grandparents, any of them, leave. Do your best you can. Even because there's always something better. But yeah, I don't know. My mom still, I feel betrayed by my mom still though, because she still asks every now and then, are you ever going to go back to your dad's? I've said no multiple times. I've brought up changing my last name, and she's like, we can't do that until you're older. Can't do that until you're 18. And she still asks, and it kind of hurts because I'm taking it as she doesn't want me around. Which I don't blame her, because she used to have a week to herself completely, and now she has a week without my younger brother. And still has to deal with me. And so I try to get out of the house as much as I can so I can leave it all up. Yeah. I'm sure I missed a bunch of stuff, but I don't care.